So there is a huge amount of conversation taking place on X and elsewhere, I'm sure, although that's where I spend a lot of my time is on X. And the question is Kamala Harris a communist? And, it's a nuanced question, and we'll go through it here. Take a look at what I'm saying. If you agree, let me know. If you don't agree, let me know. Chop up my ideas. Let me know I put them down by numbers to make it easier. You can say, well, number 3, this. And then if you do think it's valuable, if you think there's something useful here, would you repost it or post it? Depending on the situation, if you're watching this as a video, post it on your social media. If you're looking at it on X, please repost. If you think it's valuable. If you don't think it's valuable, don't do anything at all. But, we really do need to stop. If she's a communist, we really don't want her running the country. Let me know if that's a good statement. There you go. That's number 1. Actually, that's not number 1, but maybe it should be number 1. Okay, let's take a look. All right. I am of the opinion that the rest of the campaign is going to be based on whether or not she is a communist. So I've done some research, and then there's some stuff I know because I'm old and I've, read a lot and studied a lot and gone to some good schools. Well, I don't know, UCLA, not so good anymore. Let's talk about what I do know, I think for sure. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I want you to listen to each of these 9 things and let me know if I got anything wrong. Number 1, her dad, Kamala Harris's dad, was and is still today considered to be a Marxist economist who has written in that vein, who has been a professor espousing Marxist ideas. And I don't know the guy. I haven't read his stuff. I haven't been in his classes. So I went to Snopes. Snopes is a left-wing analyst. Snopes is supposed to tell us the truth. It says in Snopes that his record, his writings, and those who have written about him say that he is a Marxist. Okay, let me know if you think that's right or wrong. Number 2, let's talk about the definition of a communist is not something you can just say in a sentence and then just go, oh yeah, that's it. Oh, no, that's not it. But it's not that hard. So let's take a look. Number 3, Marxism is different entirely than any of the ways that countries have employed Marxist ideology to attempt an economic and governmental system based on communism. Marxism is one thing. What Russia did, what China has done, what North Korea has done, what Venezuela, Cuba, go around the world to all the different places that have tried communism. None of them have done what Marx said. What they've done is they've established a dictatorship of the proletariat in order to someday maybe get to something like what Marx was talking about, they thought. But of course, it never turned out that they could get to that situation that Marx was talking about. Because why? Because those guys like being in power too much when they got into power. Anyway, having said that, that's kind of off subject. We just know that it's completely different than any of the things that we've seen, except in the basic tenets, all right? And this number 4 underlying tenet of most of these implementations is that there is a privileged overclass, and then there's an underclass that is being oppressed. Generally speaking, those are economic and have been. It's like, okay, you've got these people that own all the goods and services. all the goods, they own all the land, they're in power, and because they're in power, then they can, oppress the folks that are not in power. Generally, that's how it was seen. What we're seeing now is kind of a version of that, where the oppressed and oppressors are whatever class somebody decides they're going to be at any given time. So, it could be men are the oppressors and women are the oppressed. It can be whites are the oppressors and blacks are the oppressed. It can be people who, I don't know, you get the point. Again, a lot of this But the goal of the system, the goal of this fair communist approach is something that every teenager, upon hearing it, including me, when I was a teenager, when you hear it, it's like, this is the fair way to do it. And that is that the poor and the working class should be able to improve their lot by being compensated based on something other than their contribution to the economy. If somebody is shorter or different color, or their IQ is not the same, or they don't work as hard, or they take drugs, or whatever their condition is that makes them poor, and then they don't contribute as much to society, they should get as much as the person who is, a doctor or a lawyer. Well, we'll talk more about this in a minute, but doesn't that just seem fair? And in fact, our system of taxation does do an attempt to kind of do some leveling there. We do a lot of things in the US government that could be considered socialistic, and one of those is our system of taxation, although I could spend a whole another day on why the taxation system makes sense even outside of socialism, but it does tend to level the incomes of the people in the country. All right, number 5. So, to give an example, if I grow bananas and nobody wants those bananas, it's like barely, I can barely sell them because nobody really is that interested. It kind of reminds me of like, I don't know, NVIDIA. I mean, sorry, not NVIDIA, rather, I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. It would be like, a car brand that's not doing so well compared to, say, Tesla. Anyway, so those bananas, even though I work 12 hours a day, I'm not making that much money because, I don't have a big market and nobody wants the bananas. And then I'm living next door to this guy, he digs up diamonds. And there's a lot of people that want those diamonds. And so he's making all kinds of money. And the idea would be then somehow the government needs to come in and pay the exact same amount per hour worked, or per day, or per month, or just in general, a guaranteed basic income or something communistic like that. Somehow we need to make those two equal, because otherwise it's just not fair. And it seems so nice. It seems so equitable. It seems so empathetic. But then I think you knew all that. I don't think I'm telling you anything new. Number 6, no society yet has been able to make such a system work. No matter what you do, those who are creating more value based on the system of values in a society are going to make more. In fact, in what is likely the most Marxist country on earth, and maybe the most Marxist country ever, North Korea, those who are running the show, the governmental people, the employees, the potentates, they're doing extremely well. The rest of the people, yeah. And then there does need to be a gun to the head of the rest of the people in order for those people to do well. Don't you think? Anyway, number 7, Kamala wants equity. Equity. She wants equity, not equality. She wants equity. And my definition of that, tell me I'm wrong, my definition of equity is that it's equality of outcome as opposed to equality of opportunity. That's what I think. And if I'm missing something, let me know. But that sounds to me like what we talked about just a minute ago was equality of outcome, regardless of your input. Isn't that exactly what we were talking about? Well, then, number 8, she is suggesting that the government should become involved in deciding the prices today. She says today, she wants the government to become involved in the deciding of the prices of groceries and rents. Now, why? She says, well, we got to stop the price gouging. Well, why would you want to stop the price gouging? Well, I'm assuming that it's because she wants to help the middle class and the poor. It's very empathetic. And they will be, because if they get price gouged, then they'll be less equal because they're being unfairly treated by the companies that are making too much profit. Now, which does that sound like? Does that sound like capitalism, or does it sound like communism? You see, in capitalism, if the banana grower starts making a lot of money because all of a sudden the bananas are popular and he's charging more than he was last week because for whatever reason, somebody starts saying, hey, we ought to buy some of those bananas. And so his prices start going up. Is he price gouging compared to what he was charging last week? Or is he charging what the market will bear? And if he's really, really making a lot of money, do you know what's going to happen? Yeah, you know. silly. I shouldn't even have to say this. Another banana grower will open up and charge less, and then he probably go out of business, or he'll lower his prices. Or possibly somebody that's growing grapes down the street will say, you know what, grapes are way better than bananas, and start running a bunch of ads. And pretty soon the grapes are selling well. Yeah, okay, but then you know all of this, I think. So number 9, is Kamala a communist? I think the answer is very clear. Her policies scream of an attempt to somehow improve the lot of her chosen groups. These are the groups she thinks are being oppressed by using a gun to the head of the oppressors unless they go along with less profits. Isn't that what you're seeing? I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong on this. I'm completely out to lunch, and I'd love to hear what your comments are below. But let me remind you once again, please, if you think that what I said is true, if you think that most of it's true, if you think it's worthy of being talked about by others, being sent to others so that they get kind of a basic understanding of the principles here. Listen, you could spend 5 hours, you could spend an entire quarter talking about this in order to get down to the nitty-gritty. I really was hoping maybe to do it in, what is this, 10 minutes or 15 minutes, in a way that almost anybody could get it. And if you think I've accomplished that, please post it on your social media. Please send it to your friends in an email. Please, if you're on X or some other place and you see it, please repost it so that we can get the word out there. This is not going to be good for America to have somebody with communist ideation running the show. For that, after that rant, this is Randy Kirk, and it's been great talking to you.